Welcome back to my channel, Something About Faith. My name is Faith Williams. I am a transformational, motivational speaker here in Houston, Texas. And I do this in the form of stories and discussion, to hold your guys' hand while you guys are trying to transform, while you guys are trying to make, exceptional lives for yourselves, okay? So today's video is going to be about narcissistic abuse. A lot of people that I do speak to and that do request my services are people that are recovering or trying to recover from narcissistic abuse. And so please give me a thumbs up if you like this video or not. Please subscribe. Or you can check me out on Instagram at Something About Faith 1. Okay, so let's jump right into this video. I want to discuss in this video why narcissists abuse. Like, what is the purpose of their abuse? Okay, and we're going to just jump right into it. Okay, the first and foremost reason that they jump into abuse is because they sincerely enter into every relationship that they encounter, whether that's a friendship, whether that is a relationship, or even being a parent. They jump into it with the intention for that relationship or that person to be like a science project. Okay, so basically, they want to see how you tick, see what makes you you, what makes you yourself. For those of you that are experiencing the abuse or have experienced abuse in the past with a narcissist, they abuse because they want to see how you tick. So they pretty much do abusive things followed up with nice things to keep you hanging on, in the sense of they know, hey, this pissed them off right here when I didn't, do what I said, or I lied, or I cheated. That pissed them off, they tend to be, people that just say what they think you want to hear, but they totally, the intent for this of seeing how you tick is malicious, and it's very intent in their mind. Their whole point is to see how you work, and see how you work in the sense of they do all the things that you don't like to be done to you, but at the same time never really revealing much about themselves, because they feel like they have the upper hand if you don't know what ticks them off, or what gets under their skin. So they will continue in relationships with others to purposely incite anger in their children, in their relationship partner, in their bosses, which is why a lot of them get fired, and they get fired in their relationships, and their children despise them and normally grow up to never speak to them or want to have anything to do with them. They tend to try to get under the skin of people, because they want to have an effect on people's lives, and not for the better. And this is normally because they cannot affect their lives for the better. A lot of narcissists will straight out tell you that they know that they're going to hell, or that God showed them that they're going to go to hell if they can't, pull their shit together. Things like that, right? Which I don't doubt if those things are true. I do believe that, to be as wicked as individuals as they are, I don't believe that God hasn't tried to let them know, hey, look, you got something coming. So the second reason that they tend to inflict pain on the people that they so-called love, is because they really honestly want to see how much you can take before you break. So the second reason is to actively break the spirit of people. And one of the things that the narcissist is unaware of is that the spirit in people is not their spirit, but belongs to God. And this is what is recorded and seen by God himself. Because the spirit belongs to God. What animates our bodies and what gets us, going and up in the morning belongs to God. And that is something that the narcissist isn't aware of, which is why the essence of them trying to get under your skin and trying to break the spirit of other individuals is an outright attack against God. And this is something that they fail to realize. That they're not fighting the person, they're fighting God. The third reason that they do the things that they do to abuse and harm those who they are supposed to love or say they do love is because they tend to feel that if they can destroy you, then they can destroy themselves if they get too out of control. And I know that sounds weird to a lot of you, but they feel if they can destroy you, that if they become too miserable, too out of control, their lives become too hectic, they get caught up in too many scandals, that they can push the self-destruct button and take themselves out of here. And they do that through destroying you or trying to destroy you. So they feel that, hey, if I can do this to them, then that means that I could do this to myself. But what normally ends up transpiring for the narcissist is that once they have gotten themselves, as years and time has gone on, of this kind of behavior, they realize, contrary to popular belief, they realize that they're frightened of death. And the reason that they are frightened is because they don't know where they're going to go. And they understand that, there is a Christianity principle of going to hell. And so that, in essence, keeps many suicidal narcissists alive. They want to push that self-destruct button, but they are like, okay, I just don't want to be in hell and be tortured for eternity. I need to know that I'm, going to go into nothingness or something like that. So a lot of it is fear of death. They're fearful of it, so they don't press that self-destruct button. So what they do is they continue to be alive, be on the planet, destroy lives, break people down to where, people commit suicide, entice people to murder them, which actually happens. The cycle just continues because they're actually scared. At that point, they've done so much, they don't know what they're going to be facing, and the narcissist is very afraid of the unknown. This is why they particularly repeat abuse patterns, because they know what they're going to get. They know if they press your buttons this way, this is how you're going to react. And the familiarity is what they need to know. If they are creating the situation, then they know what to expect, and then there's nothing unknown. So again, we go back into the first video, which is the narcissist running away from situations, running constantly, a coward. basically. So they mean to avoid anything, any accountability, any responsibilities, any life lessons. They mean to avoid that. So what the reality is that they feel that they want to escape, but on their own terms. And this is part of why they do things to get under your skin, because, like I said, the relationship, the friendship, the parenting has to be on their terms. And if they can control it and change it to fit their fancies, then they're comfortable with that, because then they know what to expect. Then they know what to do. These are very insecure people. They lack internal knowing of what to do, which is why they do everything wrong. So these people have essentially cut off from themselves their intuition. So the narcissist is just, in every new relationship, in every new friendship, every time they become a parent, it's really lather, rinse, and repeat, with them. They cannot take change. They cannot take change, which is why they react so poorly to change, because it's the unknown. They don't know how to respond, how to act, what to do, and they become insecure and bothered because they don't know what to do. They don't know how to handle the situation, and they never want to appear as if they don't know what they're doing. So this is why they can abuse the ones they love with confidence, because they know what to expect. And for those that have been in long-term relationships with the narcissist, over the years, they know what to expect. So they continue to get under your skin in those ways and push those buttons in those ways and abuse you in those ways, because they know what to expect. And as long as it doesn't have any kind of negative consequence for them, they feel that, okay, this is my comfort zone. This is where I'm comfortable. This is where I can be, to where I get away with everything, to where I'm, treated like someone even though I don't deserve it. That's what the dream of the narcissist is, to have a utopia in which they can do whatever it is they want and there's no consequences for them. And that is their ultimate goal, to create a utopia, so to speak, a heaven, to where nothing bad happens, everything goes good for them, that, them being who they are is not going to be judged, and they'll always be looked at in a positive way. This is what they're trying to create, and this is another reason why they pile on the abuses to their loved ones, because they are actually demanding that their loved ones and their friends and their family produce for them this utopia. And if they cannot, or if the abuses are too bad, then the narcissist reacts with such hostility and anger and rage, because this is their utopia and you're fucking it up, so to speak, because you refuse to go along with this. So they spend 90% of their time in delusion land. They are not grounded in reality at all. And they can literally be in situations that are fucked up, real bad fucked up. And, literally play out to others that everything is okay. I'm in my utopia. And this is how they do it, by being in delusion quite a bit. So the delusion also tends to be a reason that they do this, because they're looking to create a heaven on earth for them, to where they don't have to change, they don't have to grow, they don't have to do anything but just be them, and they get all these benefits. And that isn't how life works. But the narcissist isn't really aware of that. So again, The reckless behavior, things of that nature, the abuses are based out of a lot of delusion, and they spend 90% of their time in a deluded state. Okay, so in essence, you could really say that part of what's going on is a delusional disorder. Okay, um, and so again, when you leave or the children don't want to speak anymore, they leave, they grow up, they've had enough, they cut them off, they disown the narcissistic parent, the wife divorces them, the friends cut them off. um, they react in such rage, they go into smear campaigns because at one point in time you were part of their utopia. Now you're against their utopia, so in essence you're against them, and they respond in that way. This is why they will tell outright lies about you to others. This is why they will try to make you lose your job. Some have been successful in that. And they will, go after the children at court and custody battles. Not that they want the children, but they need to feel like in this utopia that they've built that they've got to win something. They've got to have something out of this. And two, their real agenda is to cause you as much pain as possible for not being a part of their utopia. The narcissist does not understand or respect when a person is like, I don't want to play this game anymore. I want, to not be around anymore. That tends to, again, enrage them because, believe it or not, they do know that they are delusional, and it might take some time to get someone to play the utopia game and tolerate the abuse and the neglect and the mistreatment and the belittlement and things of that nature that they do tend to do to others. So this is something that, they tend to respond very negatively towards. But this is why they abuse you. Okay, they abuse you for those reasons. To learn how you tick, to get up under your skin, to have this great effect on you, to destroy your spirit, basically. And also to create this utopia for themselves. They have no self-control. And to be honest with you, I won't profess to know why they don't possess self-control. But I do have my own theory about it, which I do believe that this has a lot to do with character. And because they want to avoid such responsibilities and lessons, and they don't really want to do that. They just want to do what they want to do to people. This is the sadistic nature that they have. They want to do this to people, so they don't want to be accountable. And in their utopia, God's not going to do anything to them. Nothing's going to happen to me. Nothing's going to happen to me. I'm okay. So in essence, even though they've abused the people in their lives, the people in their lives are really being used as armor, as a shield, to protect them from that. And you'll notice that once you get away from them, your finances improve, your health improves, your perspective in life improves. And this is because God is throwing fiery darts at the narcissist. He's throwing fiery darts, and the narcissist keeps you around to avoid that, to ride your coattails financially, so that the poverty that God wants to strike them with doesn't hit, so that the bad health that they're soon to get, they don't have. Or they avoid that. Again, they're looking to avoid consequences. So this is what leads me to believe that the narcissist is extremely familiar with God. And please don't be surprised if you find a lot of narcissists to be spiritual, okay? So it's not that they don't know God on any level. It's that they're in outright opposition to God. and to hurt God's people. Um, this is they're basically waging a war with God. And so my honest suggestion to a lot of people that are in those situations, please get out. Get out of the way of the fiery darts. Get out of the way of what God has for this individual or these individuals. Get out of the way. Get out of the way. Because once you realize that the narcissist is waging war against God himself, you cannot predict God, and neither can the narcissist. And this is what makes him so fearful of death, because he doesn't know what God's going to do to him. Okay? So he tries to avoid what God will do to him. And this is why you'll see a lot of them, once they get old and feeble, they try to become really religious because they're hoping that they can avoid judgment. They're hoping that they can avoid what God will do. And for those narcissists who will watch my channel, there are fates worse than death. Okay? So just keep that in mind. You know, you may not be struck with death, but you may be struck with something that makes you wish you were dead. Okay? So that is pretty much why they abuse. And it's again, to learn how you tick, to use that against you, to create this world where they can control everything and nothing unknown happens to them. You know, they need the predictability. They need it. They need it. These are people that they're risky, but they're not. You know, it's just like a millionaire saying, "Oh, you know, I'm a big spender, but he's really cheap," right? So they're risky in the sense of attacking God, but then they're not. They need everyone else around them to be a certain way and behave in a certain way and give them the results that they want, because they realize that life is unpredictable and they're not prepared to handle those changes. Okay, so one of the stories that I want to bring to you guys, because again, we always have stories here, because this is what I do. Okay, so one of the stories that we have is that I did read an article, and I actually watched a video on YouTube about a female narcissist who was in a relationship with a gentleman, and you know, they were in a relationship for a while, and I guess he got tired of her shit, and they were supposed to go on a trip together, and the gentleman called the trip off and said he didn't want to go with her. He said that in the video that I watched, he said that he got a phone call immediately when he told her he didn't want to go on the trip and they weren't going to go. And she told him, you know, you got, you know, a certain amount of time to take that back and go on this trip with me, or I'm going to ruin your life, basically. And the gentleman was like, okay, well, do what you got to do. And did that, she did. Okay? So she did do what she had to do. And what she had started doing was she actually hacked into his computer, hacked into his emails, hacked into his phone, and planted child pornography in this gentleman's email and phone and things like that, and then called the police on him. And the police came and arrested the guy for child pornography. Then she went on to send naked pictures that she had of him and other derogatory things about him to his employer and all of his supervisors and other co-workers. She, you know, basically used, you know, how you use the group email at your job. She basically used that and forwarded them naked pictures of him, as well as, you know, some things about him being involved in child pornography. And his job kept him on for a while. because he was going through things, and he was still going to court, back and forth to court for this child pornography case that she got planted on him. And he was trying to tell people that this was what was being done to him by her. And long story short, the police came to arrest this guy so many times at his home for the things that she was doing. His job fired him, and he was like, in a total state of just like disarray. And so he left the country for a little bit, and he had a new girlfriend, which probably pissed her off even more. And he went out of the country. And while he was out of the country, she tried to set him up further for more charges of child pornography and things of that nature. And because he was out of the country, the police ended up catching her in that, finding that she was planting evidence on him. And he came back into town. The gentleman came back into town from being overseas, and that's how he found out that she had been placed in jail for that, and that she was being charged with fraud, tampering with evidence, and a whole bunch of things. Long story short, she got, to spend basically the rest of her life in jail. And again, I think the video is called When Stalking Turns Deadly, I believe. And I believe that the female's name was Tawny, if I'm not mistaken. I don't remember both the names. I'm bad with names. But this is a true story. This is a video that's on YouTube. It's also an article that is on line. So if you just listen to the details of my story, you can also Google this and look it up for yourself. But this is just the extent to where the narcissist will go in order to keep their utopia. What they're hoping is by them creating such drama in your lives that you will do what it is that they want you to do and give them this utopia that they want. And then also, so you could be controllable. So then she knows if he would have stayed with her after all she did, then she knows, okay, the next time he gets out of line, then I'll just go ahead and call the police on him again for child porn. I'll fix this. Because, again, she needed that predictability, and he wasn't giving her that. And the unknown was that he would break up with her. And that was something that she hadn't anticipated. And she hadn't anticipated him finding another partner to be with, considering that she was putting, child pornography onto his laptop and in his emails and things like that, to make him look bad. So this is where, in this video, where I come in with my transformational piece. Okay, and I want to let you guys know that you guys have protection. If you have been abused, if you have been hurt by the narcissist while they're trying to create their never fantasy land, please understand that their attacks are not really towards you. Their attacks are really towards God. They really believe that they can fight God. They really believe that they can do something to God. This is a deluded perspective, and I believe in mental health issues. They call it the God complex. But they believe that they are equal, if not more powerful than God. So you guys do have protection in this thing, because when God swings back, you have to understand the analogy that I'm about to use, okay? The analogy that I'm going to use is one that I personally went through, to where I remember in my home in Las Vegas, I wanted to plant a cacti rather, and I dug a hole in the front yard by a tree that I had. I dug a hole, And I ended up having something to do with my son at that point in time, and I stopped digging the hole. And about 2 or 3 days later, when I came back to the hole had been, excuse the racers here, when I came back to the hole, I realized that it had begun to fill itself back up, even with the pile of dirt sitting next to it that I had dug out of the hole, 3 days before. So it had begun to fill itself back up. So the very nature of God is that you can dig a hole, absolutely, but he's the one to fill it up. So the narcissist isn't, look, he can dig a hole and a grave for himself as much as he wants. I'm not saying allow his abuses, her abuses, whatever. I'm just saying when the narcissist is taking these swings at God, when they're swinging at God, when they're saying, look what I'm doing. Okay, I'm powerful. I'm more powerful. You're not going to do nothing to me. You're not going to catch me. I'm not going to pay for nothing. You're not going to do anything to me. They're taunting and challenging God. And they know it. And God tends to allow the narcissist to do so much, and then he delivers a blow. And normally that blow obliterates the ego. This is why a lot of narcissists will have ego deaths. And an ego death normally makes the narcissist feel like they're dying. Okay? But they have ego deaths. They have them quite often, They don't like to talk about it, but this is where they have been humbled about their true capabilities and about who God really is, and it's not them. Okay? So always know that it will be only a matter of time before God swings back. Okay? And he may knock the shit out of your narcissist. Knock the shit out of them right into reality. Okay, and for some narcissists, that will result in them being dead. Okay, for some narcissists, that'll result in them being in jail. For some narcissists, they'll lose everything and everybody and wind up alone for the rest of their lives. So when God swings back, understand that you guys have protection. This is not something that I'm speaking of in theory. This is something that I've witnessed, and I know for a fact that the very nature of how this world works is that you can dig a hole, but ultimately who fills that up will be God. Okay? So let them dig their hole. If they're abusive, let them do that. You get to safety, but you let them do what they're doing. Because it will stop. It will stop. It will stop. It will stop. Okay? So, again, I just wanted to let you guys know why they do what they do in case you guys are questioning it. And I want to give you some broader perspectives as to what they're really thinking and as to how they really feel when they are abusing those that they love. And so I hope this gives you guys, some strength to know that this is what they're after. I'm not necessarily sure what makes these particular individuals do this. A lot of people say it's childhood issues, things of that nature. I just believe it's a sense of entitlement. Uh, they feel that they should be able to abuse. They should get everything that they want. They do not like being told no. And sometimes, and everyone in reality knows this, sometimes God says no to us. You know, sometimes things don't work out the way that we would want them to work out. And some people learn to roll with the punches, and others, like the narcissist, don't learn to roll with the punches. So, in essence, you know, I just wanted to share this video with you guys and give you my perspective in regards to why the narcissist abuse, give you some information in regards to that, and I will see you guys in the next video. Bye-bye.